Hi friends, in this video we are going to study about conflict management. We'll also discuss about various types and levels of conflict. As a project manager, while we look from a leadership point of view, we come across various ideas, beliefs and needs of different people within the team. These differences are a primary strength of the team, but at the same time, these differences in beliefs and values, goals, etc., can lead to a conflict. As a team leader, a project manager is expected to understand what type of conflict it is and which is the best way to manage this so as to not affect the project badly and ensure the project objectives are met. A conflict can be expressed as a struggle between at least two interdependent parties who perceive incompatible goals, scarce resources, and interference from other party in achieving their goals. Or a conflict can also be defined as a process that begins when one party perceives that another party has negatively affected or about to affect something that the first party cares about. Therefore, we must properly note the keywords, that is, there has to be two parties in a conflict and they are ought to be interdependent. One of the party may first perceive that he has been negatively affected by some act or might be negatively affected in the future about something that the first party cares about. So, conflicts, once when it arises, the main characteristic that it holds is number one, as I said, at least two people are required. Conflict within oneself or interpersonal conflicts is also a topic. We have our own conflicts with our own self, but it is mostly studied by psychologists. Conflict inherently involves more sense of struggle or incompatibility or perceived differences among values, goals, and desires. Action, whether overt or covert, is key to interpersonal conflict. Until action or expression occurs, conflict is always hidden and lurking below the surface. So, in actual, the conflict is always first within the person until and unless the person comes out to express in terms of directly pinpointing, writing to the other party, shouting at the other party, etc. It will not come out. The power or attempts to influence inevitably occurs within conflict. If the parties really don't care about the outcome, the discussion probably doesn't rise to the level that we can call it as a conflict. So, conflict is inevitable in any type of organization. There are three different types of views for such type of conflicts. That is, first is a traditional view that believes that all kinds of conflicts are harmful and it must be completely avoided. Then comes a human relations view that believes that conflict is natural, an inevitable outcome in any group. Therefore, you can just cannot avoid or manage a conflict. However, a modern or integralist view tells that conflict is not only a positive force in the group, but that it is absolutely necessary for a group to perform effectively. This gives a very contrasting view than the other two, that conflict can not only be negative, but it also is positive because without conflict, a group cannot function. Then they are working monotonously without generating any new ideas or better outcomes. Hence, conflict, though can affect the team, it is also necessary for its performing. So, what are the main sources of conflict? It may originate from a number of different reasons and sources, which includes differences in the information, beliefs, values, interests, or desires. Or there can be a scarcity or lack of some resources. Also, because of rivalries or competition between one person or a group of other companies. Overlapping authorities, when a single person reports to two or more bosses and they give him different instruction, it may lead to a conflict. But conflict majorly has been classified into two types: a functional conflict and a dysfunctional conflict. A functional conflict works towards the goals of an organization or group. A dysfunctional conflict blocks an organization or group from reaching its goals. Thus, the positive type of conflict is the functional conflict, which will actually help the team to perform, while a dysfunctional conflict is a negative type, which will block or hinder the progress of the team and not let them work towards its goals. The various characteristics of functional and dysfunctional conflict are: the functional conflict is always constructive, it increases information and ideas, encourages innovative thinking, shackles the different points of views, reduces stagnation in the team. Hence, as a project manager, one must focus on increasing functional conflicts within the team members by asking them questions, challenging the status quo and traditional practices and methods. However, there are also dysfunctional conflicts which arises because of tension, anxiety and stress. There is pressure for promotion, salary increase, politics within the team, which drives out the willingness of the people to work, reduces the trust between the team, reduced information, the feeling that you're not being valued, poor kind of decision by the management, etc., can lead to dysfunctional conflicts. This is shown in terms of the conflict triangle. That is, there can be a relationship conflict, a process conflict, or task conflict. Also, there are three different levels of conflict. The first level is the individual level, that is, within and between two individuals. Within a team, this can happen where two members of the same position might fight with each other for certain resources to meet their goals. Next can be group conflict, that is within and between two groups. That is one group of IT developers, another group can be of IT testers. They might fight with each other, which might lead to failure of the software. Another is the organization level conflict, in which there is continuous conflict between and within the organizations. This brings us to the part of conflict management, which is defined as the opportunity to improve situations and strengthen relationships. So, conflict management is the process of limiting the negative aspects of conflict while increasing the positive aspects. The aim of conflict management is always to enhance learning and group outcomes, including effectiveness or performance in an organizational setting. In the Thomas Kilmann model of conflict management, five different types of management techniques have been suggested. This depends upon the personality of the person, the level of assertiveness, positivity that the person holds, and cooperativeness, how much the person can bend to accommodate the other person's needs. Everyone wants a win win situation, but there can sometimes be win lose, lose lose situation might also occur. So, the first step is when you have very low cooperativeness, very low assertiveness, the strategy is avoiding the conflict. If you are low on cooperativeness, higher on assertiveness, you will be competing with each other. When you are high on cooperativeness, low on assertiveness, You tend to accommodate the conflict somehow, accept their terms. When you're high in cooperativeness, high in assertiveness, you will tend to collaborate with your other person with whom you're holding the conflicts. And the best way to actually get a win win situation for both the parties here is compromising. So, depending upon the nature of the two persons involved, different types of conflict management technique can be used. I win, you lose. That is a competing tendency. I lose or given. That is the accommodating type of tendency. We both get something. That is the compromising type of tendency. That is to divide the pie. And we both win. That is increase the pie and make it more successful is collaborating technique. Some of the positives, the pros and cons of each of these methods have been shown. For competition, the winner is clear and the winner will get all its gains. The cons are that it will establish a battleground for the next conflict, that is, the loser will try to take a revenge. It may cause worthy competitors to withdraw and then leave the organization. Accommodation. The pros are it curtails conflict situation and enhances the ego of the other person. The cons are it does not fully engage a participant to work to its fullest. Sometimes it establishes a precedence. Next is to compromise. This is done when you want to show some goodwill to the another person and establish a friendship. The cons are no one gets what they want. You may feel like you have come to a dead end. And last is collaboration, which is one of the most effective way where everyone wins and create good feelings for all. The cons might be it is hard to achieve this kind of solution because no one knows how and you can collaborate and what is going to make both of the parties benefit out of it. This is often confusing since players can win something they didn't know they wanted. Also, along with conflict, there can be disputes which arises out of contractual relationships in agreements, and there can be dispute resolution techniques or ADRs, alternative dispute resolution, like arbitration, negotiation, conciliation, and mediation. Thank you.